Now let us start this session. So in this session, we are going to discuss W.H. Auden's poem, The Unknown Citizen. But before we talk about the poem, it is very important to know the historical background and about the poet. W.H. Auden was an Anglo-American poet regarded by many critics as one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. He was born in New York, England on February 21st, 1907 and died on 29 September 1973. He studied in Oxford University, where he joined a group of poets who are later called as the 30s poets or Auden group or the Auden generation. This group consisted of British and Irish writers of 1930s, like Cecil Day Lewis, Stephen Spender, Christopher Easterhood, and sometimes Edward Upward and Rex Warner. Auden was influenced by many great personalities like Thomas Hardy, Robert Frost, Blake, Dickinson, Hopkins. He was also influenced by T.S. Eliot. The central themes of his poetry are love, politics, and citizenship, relation and morals, and the relationship between an unique individual and a modern or an urbanized society. In 1939, he moved to United States and he became an American citizen in 1946. Then he won the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry in 1948 for his famous long poem, The Age of Anxiety, which was published in 1947. So his major works include poems, which was published in 1930. Actually, he started writing poetry when he was just 23 years old, and he has written more than 400 poems. And other major works include The Orators, which was published in 1932. Another time, 1940, in which The Unknown Citizen poem is extracted. The Age of Anxiety, which was published in 1947, The Shield of Achilles, 1952, and The Dyer's Hand, 1962, which was a prose collection. Now coming to the historical background, which is very important. The poem was written in the year 1939. The Second World War had just begun. Dictators were threatening the free societies of Europe. In 1939, Europe was in flame. Hitler and Mussolini, two aggressive dictators, were taking over everything. Even the free societies like United States, Europe, and France had increased surveillance on its citizens. A free society was gradually transforming into a totalitarian society where the citizens were molded into forms determined by the state, and they are like a commodity or a easy money, productive, reproductive, obedient, or maybe natural. And during that time, the American government also started issuing cards like our present Aadhaar cards, which is a very unique identity code of every citizen of our country. During that time also, the American government had started issuing unique cards with unique identification numbers, which was known as social security cards. And Auden wrote this poem in the year 1939 as soon as he moved from Europe to America. The poem was first published in 1939 in the New Yorker. Then later it was published in Auden's collection of poems another time. Here I have added one picture which says, "Big Brother is watching you." This I have extracted from the novel, George Orwell's novel 1984, which was published in the year 1949. This quote, what this quote depicts is that the citizens of the state was supervised by the government, because it was this poem was written during the time of war. So gradually, even the democratic societies or free societies like USA, France, they too started interfering in the lives of its citizens. Then coming to the title, The Unknown Citizen. Who is generally termed as an unknown citizen? A citizen who is not recognized or noticed. No one ever pays attention to him or her. The unknown citizen is an average ordinary citizen in the modern, industrialized, or urbanized society. Someone who blends in the crowd, who lacks personal identity, individuality, or maybe he likes to remain unknown. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು title ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ poemದು, the same poet has written one elegy called In Memory of W.B. Yeats. So this title appear quite different. Here the title is The Unknown Citizen. ಜನರಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಒಂದು ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ unknown citizen ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರಿತೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, someone who is a very ordinary person, or maybe an average person who was not given so much importance. Then it may be somebody who blends in a crowd, or maybe he or she is not even interested to mingle or to get recognition. So here the poem title, The Unknown Citizen, is about somebody who is not so much recognized in the society or by the government, or he may be someone who can easily blend into the crowd, or maybe he is someone who just want to remain unknown. So the poem begins with an epigraph. The poem begins with an actually this is an ironical epigraph. So it was dedicated to JS/07 AM 378. This marble monument is erected by the state. So when we look at this, we can easily guess that the poem is pretending to be an official celebration of a dead person. So even the first epigraph ನಾವು ಓದಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, this is dedicated to somebody who has already dead, but his name is not revealed by the poet. The poem also resembles an elegy. The poem is actually pretending to be an official celebration of a dead person, who is the unknown citizen. So ಇದು ಟೈಟಲ್ ನೋಡಿದಾಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೇನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇದು ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರ ಸತ್ತೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು poem ಅನ್ನ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ obviously it is an elegy. But here it appears like elegy, but like an elegy, it does not begin in a mournful tone. Like for example, I had already told you, this same poet had written an elegy named In Memory of W.B. Yeats. So ಆ ಒಂದು ಟೈಟಲ್ಗೂ ಈ ಒಂದು ಟೈಟಲ್ಗೂ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪೋಯಮ್ ಎಲಿಜಿ, ಆ ನೇಮ್ ರಿವೀಲ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಆಬ್ವಿಯಸ್ಲಿ this epigraph itself looks satirical. In fact, it reveals a satirical description of an unknown citizen who lack personal identity within modern society. Next, let's start reading the poem. The very first lines. He was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint. In the very first line of the poem, the speaker turns to the Bureau of Statistics. What is this Bureau of Statistics? It seems to be a parody of such bureaucracies, which are large, complicated organizations that produce a lot of unnecessary paperwork. So, ಇಲ್ಲಿ first line alle poet ಹೀಗೆ start ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. The poet is not describing anything about the unknown citizen, what was his dream, where he was living, and what he was doing. But in the very first line, ಇಲ್ಲಿ poet ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, he is speaking about a Bureau of Statistics. which may be an organization which has collected all the details of this man, this unknown citizen, and it says and it reveals that one against whom there was no official complaint. There was no official complaint. What it means, it seems to be an ideal person for the state, but the irony is his identity is not known to the state. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ಬ್ಯೂರೋ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಇಂದ ನಮ್ಗೇನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಗೇನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಆಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. And all the reports on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint. For in everything he did, he served a greater community. So, ಇಲ್ಲಿ the reports reveal ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So his reports on the conduct says he was a saint. So ಈ unknown citizen ಯಾವ ತರ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, he was a saint ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯೂರೋ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ unknown citizen ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. But he was not a old-fashioned saint like maybe Mother Teresa or Saint Francis. Those are old-fashioned saints who served the poor. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ saints ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಮದರ್ ಟೆರೆಸಾ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ವಾಟ್ ಶಿ ಡಿಡ್, ಶಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸರ್ವ್ಡ್ ದ ಪೂರ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಸೊ ಪೂರ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಗೆ ಅವರು ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್, ದಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್, our unknown citizen is a modern saint because he always served the greater community. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಪೋಯಿಟ್ unknown citizen ಗೆ modern saint ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, because he didn't serve the poor. On the other hand, he had served the greater community. Here greater community represents maybe the rich or powerful people. So ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ unknown citizen ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾನೆ, ಅವನನ್ನ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾನೆ. ಸೊ he was also a kind of saint ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಐರಾನಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, the poet is conveying. Now coming to next lines. Except for the war, till the day he retired, he worked in a factory and never got fired. In the second set of lines, the report continues. Throughout the unknown citizen's life, he did a number of things to serve the community. So throughout unknown citizen one life ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಅವನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ. And in fact, he spent his whole life serving the greater community. Here I would like to give you an example. There is a famous novel by George Orwell, The Animal Farm. In that there is a character named Boxer. So I would like to compare that Boxer with this unknown citizen. So that Boxer was a very loyal laborer. But unfortunately, what happens at the end of the novel, he has to give up his life for the state. So ಇಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಸಹ unknown citizen ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನು ಅವರು ರಿವೀಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So except for the war, till the date he retired, he worked in a factory and never got fired. So he had participated in a war, and apart from war, he was also a dedicated or a loyal laborer in a factory. And fortunately, according to the state, he never got fired. So you see, during those times, for example, when the industrialization has started, or maybe during the time of world wars, people used to work for 14 hours, 15 hours. So it was not easy. But see, here our unknown citizen is not protesting. He is obeying, and he has worked really hard, and he never got fired. So here these sentences are quite ironical, which says that the state must have forced this unknown citizen to work so hard. So coming to next lines, but satisfied with employers, huge motors, yet he wasn't a scab or odd in his views. For his union reports that he paid his dues. Our report on his union shows it was a sound. This man, our unknown citizen, did not have any odd views and always paid his union dues. He was very obedient. He did not believe in or participate in anything that went against the greater community. So ಈ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನು ತುಂಬಾ ಡೆಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ. ಅವ್ನು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಆ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ, ದ ಪವರ್ಫುಲ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ, ದ ರಿಚ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಔಟ್ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್ unknown citizen had never gone, and he did his level best to serve the greater community. Here the greater community represents the rich, industrialized or powerful people of that time. Now coming to next lines, and our social psychology workers found that he was popular with his maids and liked a drink. So see here, till now his professional life was discussed by the poet. Now the poem shifts from his professional to his social life. So did you observe anything? Yake government interfere ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ? See, these are not so important things for the state, but what the state is doing, it has started interfering not only in his personal professional life but also in his social and personal life. So these lines reveals that he was very famous among his friends and he liked a drink, but he was not an alcoholic. See, he liked a drink. He just want to have a little drink, but he was not an alcoholic. The next line says, the press are convinced that he bought a paper every day and that his relations to advertisements were normal in every way. See, in a totalitarian society, if I compare, for example, our contemporary Indian society with some other country like China or North Korea, see, in our India, there are so many papers. We have democracy. People can exhibit their views according to them, whichever they want. So they can easily exhibit their ideas. But when it comes to a country like China or North Korea, so there in China there is one a newspaper called Global Times. So it is like a mouthpiece of China. And when we come to a country like North Korea, just imagine in a country there is only one newspaper which is published by the government, and there is one TV channel, and you are forced to watch that TV channel, and you are forced to buy that paper. So here the situation was something same in that time. The press are convinced that he bought a paper every day. So here the press means maybe a press which was bought by the government. So the press is very happy that this unknown citizen is purchasing their paper, but it doesn't matter to them whether he is reading that paper or not. In the next line, the poet says, and that his reactions to the advertisements were normal in every day. So this line exhibits that he had a very normal reactions to the advertisement which were published on the paper. In short, he is a good American consumer. So ಈ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, very first we see his social life, that how he was with his friends. He was very popular and he liked to have a drink. In next lines we see the press, how the press was during that time. So the press was happy that this unknown citizen has bought their paper, and his reactions to the advertisements were also normal. Now coming to next lines, policies taken out in his name prove that he was fully insured, and his health card shows he was once in hospital but left it cured. See, in this line we learn that he was fully insured. He was not a risk taker. So unknown citizen hatra insurance ide. Yav tara insurance? Health insurance ide, because he don't wanted to take any risk. He was not a risk taker. His health insurance reveals that he went to hospital once, which means he wasn't too much burden on the health system. he left the hospital cured. See here, the government is appreciating because he didn't had any serious health issue. Here I would like to give you an example. After your degree, uh, when you're appointed uh, by the government, they do this health verification, medical verification. So there also I found they choose only those candidates who are fit to work. What I found is they didn't even show a little mercy or concern towards those who had some health issues. So here also, the state is happy because he had some minor issue, or else he would have been burdened to the state. So actually, ಇಲ್ಲಿ health department ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಹ ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಗುಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ಯಾಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಪ್ರಿಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ he bought insurance. So indirectly that money will go to the government, and the government is also very happy because he had a very minor health issue and he left the hospital completely cured. Coming to next lines, both producers, research and high grade living declare he was fully sensible to the advantages of the installment plan. What are these producers, research, high grade living? They sound like the organizations intended to help the consumers who want and guide them what stuff they should buy. These if we compare these producers, research and high grade living organization, we can compare it to the contemporary Amazon or Flipkart. So ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ encourage ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. If you visit to the site, you see so many things, and they even offer ನೀವು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹ ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನ ಬೈ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಸಹ ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, he was fully sensible to the advantages of the installment plan. They have done a little research and learned that the unknown citizen used installment plan to buy expensive things. So even the sentence in the namgen gottagutte andre, this unknown citizen was buying expensive things on installment plans. What does it say? Usually obru installment plan ge avaru hogtare anta helidre, what does it reveal? It reveals that that person wants to fit in a modern society. On the other hand, what it says, that person also does not have the enough finance to support his status. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ installment plan ಅನ್ನ unknown citizen use ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ, he used to buy the things which are required in a modern industrialized society. Then, and had everything necessary to the modern man: a phonograph, a radio, a car, and a frigidaire. See, our unknown citizen is a modern man. He had a phonograph or a gramophone equivalent to a modern MP3 player. He had radio, car, and refrigerator in order to survive. See, these lines are very important. See, what was required for a person to survive in that time. Here, nobody is bothered whether that man is happy, how was his relationship, what was his dreams, what he want to be. Nobody is bothered. But here, the more importance is given to the things. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಗೆ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಸಹ ಏನು ಆ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಅವನು ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ದ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ plan ali he used to buy things, and those things include a refrigerator, car, a phonograph or an MP3. So all these things we learn from these lines. Then coming to next lines, our researchers into public opinion are content that he held the proper opinions for the time of year. When there was a peace, he was for peace, and when there was a war, he went. The researchers into public opinion are like the people who call us to ask who you are voting. So ಈ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಅ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಪೋಲ್ ವೇರ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು ಯಾವ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ವೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿವೀಲಿಂಗ್ that he had a proper opinions for the time of the year. So this man, he was not against the government. It doesn't matter whether the government is correct or wrong, but this man, this unknown citizen, had proper opinions which are favorable to the government. When there was a peace, he was for peace, and when there was a war, he went. Here the manipulative state celebrates the unknown citizen as an ideal citizen because he never thought about whether a war is just or not. So ಈ two lines ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, when there was a peace in his country, he was living there, but when there was a war, he went without questioning whether this war is correct, whether my country is doing correct or not. He just went. He's like a blind patriot. So ಯಾವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಅವ್ರ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಪೀಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಆಗ ಅವರು ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದ್ದ, ಬಟ್ ವಾರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅವನು ವಿತೌಟ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನಿಂಗ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮೂವ್, ಆ ಒಂದು ವಾರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ದೀಸ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಸಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಅಬೌವ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್. Then coming to next line, he was married and added 5 children to the population, which our eugenist says was the right number for a parent of his generation. See now, the poem has shifted from his professional to social, from social to his personal life. According to the state, it's good that the unknown citizen had many children because a growing population usually helps a nation's economy, and it also ensures that there are enough soldiers to fight in a war. So this first line, what it says, that he was married and added 5 citizens to the population. So according to the government, this was a correct number. Why? Because according to government, these children in future, they are going to serve the nation, which in turn leads to the nation's growth. On the other hand, if there is a war, remember this poem was written in 1939. First World War had over, the Second World War had just begun. So the poet is writing in this time. So the population of the country was important. Why? Because more and more people are needed to participate in the war, which our eugenist says was the right number for a parent of his generation. Eugenist is a term from history that you may not have heard before. It refers to a social movement that believed that humans species could be improved by genetic engineering. So there were a group of people who thought that the purity of the race could be improved by genetic engineering. And Hitler had also supported this theory, and maybe he encouraged this theorist because he strongly believed that the Aryan race, which it's pure, and that was a major reason why he started torturing the Jewish community. So ಈ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, he had enough number of children according to that time, and he was and he, according to eugenist, also says the number of he had the right number of parent of his generation. Then coming to the next line, and our teachers report that he never interfered with their education. Then coming to line number 27, and our teachers report that he never interfered with their education. This line is somewhat creepy or scary. According to government, he was a good parent. Why he was a good parent? Because he didn't interfere with the education of his kids. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋನ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ he never interfered in the education of his kids. See, education is very important, especially when the child is very young. Because ಈಗ ನಾವು ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಚಿಕ್ಕವ್ರು ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ದೇ blindly believe in it. Like for example, if in a government textbook, the government textbook can say a person A is a very bad person, but in reality that person A may be a very good person. So what the children learn, they start believing it. So here the state is appreciating the unknown citizen. The reason is he never interfered with his children's education. Then coming to last two lines, was he free? Was he happy? The question is absurd. Had anything been wrong, we should certainly have heard. The poem ends on a final rhyming couplet, which is ironical. In the final line, the speaker explains why the question is absurd. If there was anything wrong, we would have known about it. So here, finally, the poet is asking the question, was he happy? So the government has all the details. The government has details about the number of children he had, about where he worked, and his participation in the war, his social life, everything. But the government does not have the details about whether this unknown citizen was happy or whether he was free. What was his dreams? What were his aspirations? What he wanted to be? So these details are not available in the government records. So then the poem ends with this line, had anything been wrong, we should certainly have heard. So this is very ironical. What the poet is saying is, ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಆತರ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿ the poem ends here. But we know that that unknown citizen was actually unhappy. Maybe he was forced into that society. He just wanted to please the greater community, and maybe he was pressurized. All these things we learn, but the poem, according to the government or the state, or in a totalitarian society, he was happy, he was free, but this question will remain absurd. Then the major themes from the poem The Unknown Citizen, it is identity. See, from the very beginning of the poem, we see the poet has not revealed his identity, whether it may be his tomb where he was just reduced to the numerical numbers, so his identity was not revealed. And we see the manipulation. The state started interfering into the lives of its citizen, not just professional, but the state has also started interfering in the personal life. See, imagine, it's like maybe recently you must have heard in news, in North Korea, the dictator of North Korea orders all his citizens to have a haircut like him. So this is what the manipulation. The government forces its citizens to do something which the citizens may not like. And in this poem, we also see the theme of patriotism. This unknown citizen participates in a war without thinking whether his country was doing right or wrong. Then we have the passivity. In the entire poem, the actual identity of the citizen was not really revealed, and he was not connected with his family. We don't know what was the relationship he shared with his children. Nothing was revealed. Only according to the state, he was a good citizen because he satisfied the terms and conditions which were laid by the government. So here I end my lecture. Thank you. Okay, madam, whether he was forced to participate in the war or he participate willingly. See, this we don't know exactly because the poet is not clear, because he didn't mention whether that this unknown citizen was happily going for a war. But what we see here is the blind uh, patriotism, where the citizen doesn't think that his country is doing right or wrong. He just blindly participate in the war because he just want to serve the country. So it's not clear whether he was happy or not. Most probably he is not happy, but he is a true citizen who just wanted to serve his motherland. The lack of freedom is evident in the poem. What do you think? Yes, obviously. See, if we compare ourselves with him, if we were in his position, when the government started interfering too much, uh, it obviously disturbs a person, because it doesn't matter whether the person is poor or rich. The freedom is very important. The freedom of speech, the freedom of doing what he or she wants is very important. So that obviously the lack of freedom is very evident in the poem. And here the poet is ironically criticizing government of that time, which was a totalitarian government, which was doing surveillance on its citizens.